Into the game. Look at that Lambo. Here we are with, in the top right, spawning as our Blue Protoss player, playing for Team OS. It is Firefly.
And his opponent, representing Team Liquid, it is SKillous.
Indeed it is. Good old SKillous.
SKillous always using the skin. Usually, I'm not sure if he changes it for a tournament. Obviously, Firefly won't see this, but I know he usually has all of his buildings on a normal skin, and on the Cybercore skin he has differently. So I sometimes can't tell when he starts the warp gate research.
Is that
which
true?
is just... Well, you can definitely see the difference. If I look at it, and I see he didn't start it, and then I see that it starts,
Yeah,
I can tell the difference, but I don't exactly know how it looks when it starts. So if he starts it right away, I sometimes can't tell. So yeah, pay to win. Confirmed.
Yeah, so another good excuse to buy these war chests when they eventually become available again. You know, when I first started playing StarCraft II, I didn't understand how Terran worked at all, like whatsoever. So I remember thinking that tech labs could research all the upgrades as long as you had the tech structure for it. So a tech lab at a barracks, in my mind, could also research STIM. So I remember I would see like a starport. I also didn't know, by the way, this is important for the story, that Banshees required a tech lab. So I would see a starport, and then I'd see a tech lab with a barracks, and then I wouldn't know if it's a medevac, a Viking, or a cloak Banshee. So the game was very difficult for me. It took me surprisingly long for how decent I was at the game, even in the early 2010s. It took me very, very long to figure out how Terran worked. I think it was way more uncommon back in the day for people to play off-race. Like, really extremely uncommon. Like, no one played off-race. So we had so little... Like, I didn't really understand the other races at all, like build order-wise. And I feel like nowadays it's way more accepted and way more standard that everyone has at least the most basic knowledge of the other races' build orders. Like, you know, the fact that a gas first from a Terran is different from a barracks first, for example, and how it works and how it does these things. I feel like this has all been, like, well into legacy of the Void that this kind of started developing.
Yeah, I don't think it's generally accepted. It's just required if you want to play at a high level.
Yeah.
You need to understand how the opposing build orders work to a certain degree. Otherwise, just your scouting information and your reads on the game are going to suffer a lot, as we see both players opening up with a scout. Firefly actually going robo on one base. So is this going to be a 3-gate robo then, I guess?
Okay, well, we've been going through a robo renaissance as of late, and there's a couple of builds. You have the 2-gate robo and the 3-gate robo. Now, 2-gate robo always was played with a proxy. Always, always. Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at that. That's a late gateway. So he pretended like he was playing 2-gate robo and then goes for the 3-gate robo. This is an advanced move. This is an advanced move because with the 2-gate robo, what I was gonna say is that you really want to expand quickly. So you put some pressure on your opponent and then you expand quickly. So the best thing to do against 2-gate robo, as the defender versus it, is to take a quick expansion. So what SKillous is doing here is correct. This is exactly how you want to respond to a 2-gate robo. However, if it's a 3-gate robo, no sir, this is completely wrong. SKillous, what a terrible mistake. And SKillous can't know this, of course, because he scouted 2 gates and a robotics facility. So with the scouting information he has, this is correct, but with what's actually happening, this is probably incorrect.
Okay, let's see where this Phoenix is positioned. So far it's just above the Stargate, which means that 2 adepts enter Skillous's main base. You can obviously lift one of them, which means that the second one will not get one-shots on the probes. Still will get one of them. No, and didn't quite follow the probe there. Tries to retreat back towards the War Prison, but the War Prison was not in position. It was a little bit sloppy by Firefly. He definitely could have recalled out those adepts together with the Prism, and those adepts would help a lot in the push as well, so that's definitely sloppy.
That's definitely true. Immortal is out already. It's going to be a Phoenix Gateway unit defense. And I think by taking out these 2 adepts, this actually is looking pretty freaking good here for SKillous. I really think this is a fine... And he also gets the scout off, so you just add 1 or 2 extra batteries. You can probably make the decision to warp in another sentry. Maybe even want to cancel this Phoenix. He ended up chronoing it out because he really wanted it. But I feel like you could make a case here for saying, hey, I want a third sentry in. That would make life a lot easier. Another battery should be added the moment money is available. And all you're spending money on right now is units and batteries. That's going to be it. As there's 2 zealots here defensively for SKillous, which is not great usually. Would have been worse had those 2 adepts on Firefly side stayed alive. And although this technically should have been good for Firefly, and I really like SKillous' position. Needs to be careful with force fields. Oh, he's gonna let his opponent in. I don't think that's a very good call.
Well, he bullies him back out, only spends 1 force field in terms of defense there. Obviously, you can Firefly is gonna try to cancel the lift, right, with the War Prism on the Immortal.
Yeah.
One of the cool things that you can do, and I feel like Firefly is trying to bait him out, so he can get some good shots on the Phoenix. But the longer this goes, the more Phoenix will be there, and also the more batteries will be there, because SKillous is just outmining him at this point.
Yeah.
In time.
There's one problem here though, and that's that there's no like push ender here for SKillous. There's no Immortal on the way. It's not like he's increasing his sentry count. It's still just going to be a fight, basically. And there's no tech advantage that he's gonna get. So SKillous needs to be careful at all times. He's also slightly supply blocked right now, loving the 3rd gate. I really feel like trying to focus on maybe 1 or 2 extra sentries here would have been beautiful. But so far this fight has been going great. Phoenix is coming in, are gonna get a double lift. I love the battery overcharge here as well. And SKillous is gonna eat Firefly here in game number 1. And he's gonna eat him to the bone, my friend. This is freaking over. Really nice defense.
Yeah, I want to note that the Immortal also was consistently shooting on the sentry, so not the best target fire there. Out of Firefly, but I don't think it mattered as SKillous completely demolishes this attack, makes it look stupid, and wins game number 1 in a clean fashion.
Yeah, very clean fashion indeed. That was a solid hold out of SKillous. Yeah, he first of all, he forces the recall, which is annoying already, of course. Opening up with Phoenix there is kind of wild too. I like that he did it. I feel like a lot of people still would have just opened up with that Oracle first. But he just straight went for the Phoenixes. And then just a lot of Stalkers. And yeah, worked beautifully. Phoenix is scouting the lack of a Nexus. Important scout. And taking out those 2 adepts definitely helped as well. Firefly with a cute build order, a good plan, and also a quick adaptation in the in the game, adding that 3rd gate in. But still not good enough here. First map is gonna go to SKillous, who, when I look at these 2 guys, Lambo, I don't think to myself, oh, SKillous is super favored or Firefly is super favored. I actually think it's pretty close.
I think it's a very similar level, yeah. I think Firefly has a little bit more of a variety, and SKillous might be a little bit stronger in very standard games. But the overall play level, I think it's very similar with those 2. I think of SKillous as a little bit more solid, and Firefly can punch a little bit more above his weight limit, Like Firefly can actually take out the best players in the World Team League, and he does so on a very consistent basis, but he's maybe not as solid against some of the weaker players. So usually for a tournament like this, I would say Firefly might even be a little bit better, but in a direct comparison, yeah, it's very close. I would not have wanted to call a favorite here.
Yeah, same. And I'm not entirely sure either how good the PvP of Firefly is. I'm of course very familiar with SKillous, and I know how he plays PvP. I think he's really solid in the mid game, and he's someone that actually likes going into those mid game scenarios as well. And then going into the late game, he understands it well, knows movement, knows how he wants to structure just the general setup. I don't know that much about Firefly. I know that he likes to be aggressive. I know that he likes to take early leads. And well, he tried to take an early lead, or well, try to kill his opponent in the last game. Just didn't quite work out.
Yep. As we're loaded onto the second map of the series. Yeah, not the best start for Firefly, but it also started with him losing 2 of the adepts. Do you want to do intros now? Because I was on your camera and it looked like it, but
I was just zooming in for banter.
Okay, right. Zooming in for banter.
Yeah. That's classic banter. That's why people tune into the C stream. The zooming banter. It's like, oh, that's great zooming banter on the C stream. That's what they're known for. Phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I also, one of the great things if you're I actually messed up the score. If you're Firefly here, what's great about this all is that this isn't really a loss that you care about, because it's an all-in. And what can happen. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I feel like it doesn't feel great, but it also, you haven't been outclassed in like a large macro game and now all your plans in the future are useless. Like, this shouldn't change your plan at all. If you had a plan, you can just stick to the plan. Because sometimes in the middle of a series, what will happen is you have like a nice macro plan set up, and then you just get obliterated in game number 1. Like, you just get demolished. And then you can never really use that plan again, unless you made some big errors. But if you just get outplayed, you know, the feeling is really different. Here it's just, well, had a good response to what was essentially an all-in. And now I'm gonna do another all-in, or I'm gonna do another trick, and maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't feel so bad. And I'm very familiar with this myself, because I freaking love all-inning in PvP. Proxying everything, I think is freaking cool. And it really doesn't feel so bad if you lose in the first 4 or 5 minutes. And you just kind of get used to it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Although it has to be said that this is extremely important for both of them. Firefly going for this round.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That sucks for SKillous. He's sending out a new probe, and Firefly went no scout, by the way. Yeah, which I think is very high test.
Yeah.
He's now expanding, and SKillous is like, okay, what the hell is going on? What is my opponent doing? He could have even like just started a Stargate straight off the bat if he wanted to do, and SKillous is trying to find out now what exactly is going on.
I feel like that's almost too standard, you know what I mean? Is straight up starting the Stargate here. It is very good because you get the quickest possible Oracle from your home base, but at the same time, SKillous has to be afraid of everything. So just playing Stalker, which technically still could be anything whatsoever. Oh, don't let the probe go by.
Oh no, he's gonna let the probe in. You see, even just seeing the probe in the pylon there is pretty big, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know. That Nexus going down like 2 minutes and 50 seconds in, that is very late for a Stalker Sentry opener. And usually you also fake the units when you're getting scouted, so SKillous still doesn't know if Unit 3 and 4 were actually being built out of those gateways because he didn't see them pop. So there's a couple of... I wouldn't feel very secure at all as SKillous here. Like, it could still be an Oracle.
Interesting.
It could also still just be a robotics facility. Like, you legit just have no info. SKillous is gonna build a robo here. He's deadly afraid.
He is very afraid. But how likely is it that after you kill your opponent's scouting probe and you have 2 stalkers that should deny a probe, that you just leave a AFK probe while you're doing a 1-base build, for example?
I have no clue. Like,
it doesn't sound very likely to me.
No, but
in theory, but yeah.
Are you gonna read a guy
like
that you've never played against before like that? I wouldn't even dare making such a read on most European players. Sometimes they just have a probe there for some reason. Like, it might have come back from scouting, or they forgot about it. You never know with Protoss players. My one rule in PvP is that I never try to sweat the small stuff, because people just mess up the small stuff always. So yeah, it's so difficult to make any definitive reads on that. SKillous played this uber safe, and he's gonna be super pissed when he figures this all out. He's throwing down a late Twilight Council. These 2 adepts that he's sending across the map need to deal some actual damage, I think, because he's so late with his blink, and this sucks. It really does.
Oh my god, the 2 adepts can actually get in. There's only 2 stalkers here in position. The probe pull was also very late, so the adepts can just follow through and always get the shots off, so it would have been better to just leave the probes as they are. Just 3 probes though, going down. And he gets the scout off with the Phoenix, starts his own Dire Shrine, gets an Immortal. I mean, at the very least, how bad is this really? At the very least, he should be able to get up his 3rd base just instantly, if he wasn't going for a DT Shrine with the Immortal.
The thing is that usually in Blink versus Blink, building a robo before 3rd is really bad, because it's just extra money you're spending that doesn't give you anything. And also, if you see robo first, if you're Firefly, fast DTs is impossible. So you can reliably get away with a fast 3rd. I'm actually kind of surprised to see this attack out of Firefly. This makes this position a little bit more playable for SKillous, as long as he doesn't lose all of these stalkers for free. Control's good enough coming out of Firefly. Needs to hit that Immortal at least once. We're working off of 2 gates. That's it here for Firefly. If he can blink forward, there's no battery here. I think SKillous is just dead.
Yeah, SKillous completely skipping the battery, even though he played very safe. In terms of the opener, he warped in 2 adepts more on the other side of the map, so using 4 adepts means he has way less stalkers here than his opponent, and he doesn't have blink. He just played safe with the Immortal that he had at home. Now he's trying to counterattack with 2 adepts at the same time, but he somehow needs to survive on his side of the map first.
Yeah, that's gonna be difficult, if not impossible. Robo starts on the side of Fireflies. The first DT is being warped in. Workers going down on both sides as well. As the Adepts finish their shade towards the natural. This is gonna cause a little bit of chaos. Might make the move in towards the main base slower. No, Firefly does blink over. Immortal about to pop out. We saw a Chrono on the Dark Shrine. That must have been a misclick, as the Immortal is actually gonna finish, and I think these Stalkers will get pushed back. If these DTs are capable of slashing, or well, it's just a single DT, capable of slashing 10-15 workers, maybe it's possible. I guess the low ground base for SKillous is also in serious trouble, though. Does have enough money for another DT, can warp it defensively, which I... Oh, this Robo's on the low ground. Shoot it, SKillous! No, that's a Forge. Never mind, I'm an idiot.
That's a Forge. That's
the
a
Robo
Forge.
on the... Okay, well, in that case, just kill the probes. That's the only thing you can do. No DT at home. This is not good.
He actually had the money, barely before the gateways died, to warp in a second DT at home, which I think was the play, but then Firefly got the pylon on time, and he ties up the series 1-1.
I thought he built a Robo on the low ground. You can't imagine how excited I got there for a second.
Well, the row was already done, so that was... Okay. The building was... If he just starts the Robo in front of the DT at the natural, that would be wild.
That would be the height to move. Oh, my probes are under attack. Here, go for the Robo instead.
Exactly, you could start a second Robo as distraction. So then he hits the pylon at the natural. Exactly, he hits the pylon at the natural. This is the stuff that you can only learn if you're casting with Zerg players.
That's true. Dude, that would be genius. Oh, I love the thought of that. This is a cool game, though. I like this. Yeah. It was kind of funny, because in my mind, this probably was the best case scenario for SKillous, being attacked into when you built Immortal before third base, and then he still died, because the Immortal was there like 4 seconds too late or so, already lost 3 Stalkers before the fight started. That sucked. And then not having a battery there, that is freaking deadly. If that doesn't happen, the DTs might just end up winning the game.
I agree. Yeah, I think if there's a battery, Firefly doesn't go there. He will probably not expect an early Dark Shrine, because as you said, if you know the other guy is going Robo first, which is what he scouted with this hallucination,
yeah,
you don't expect a Dark Shrine, and his Robo was late as well. For the DTs, there also would be 2 DTs instead of 1.
Mm. Yeah, but then again, the game also would be much calmer, and Firefly would... Yeah. I mean, it is... The thing that you usually get away with if you play like this is that you just get a Nexus before the Robo, and that's already really big in this matchup. It actually is kind of a big deal. And then the fact that SKillous built an Immortal before a third, like if Firefly had just expanded to a third and then thrown down a Robo, he would have been in a great spot. Like Firefly is just... But yeah, this was obviously better because he straight up and managed to win the game. He has the preference for aggression. I think that much is clear. He likes being on the map. He likes having a lot of units and doing stuff. And it worked out this time around.
I wonder if it's... Is it a thing if you go Robo first to just go a super fast third base even before the Twilight, and then you just make some Immortals at first and play with that?
Well, what do you mean with is it a thing? Do people play it, or do I think it's viable?
No, I mean in this situation, in my mind, because I understand that if you go for the Immortal and you go for Blink yourself, your third base is just going to be later, you're just going to be behind, right? Because the other guy gets a third base before the Immortal and before the Robo.
Yeah.
So then if instead of getting the Twilight, you just pump out an Immortal, like Skillous did.
Yeah, I think that would have been
and then get an
better.
earlier third Nexus.
Yeah, earlier third Nexus, Adept run by an Immortal. So the moment the Blink player moves out, you send the Adepts in. And then if you have a battery at your third and at your natural, usually you're fine with the Immortal. That is definitely playable. The problem, well, things become very tricky once the Blink player realizes that, and they can play something along the lines of like a 2 Adept shade in and then 4 Stalkers in the main, because splitting is extremely difficult and your unit count isn't that high. So you also can't chase after Stalker. So basically what the Blink player can do is they can sacrifice 3 to 4 gateway units, and they can probably get up 9, 10, 11 probes or so, and counter-attacking with that type of setup from as the Robo player while you're trying to get a fast third as well is practically impossible. So it probably would have been better economically, and in a way also safer, because you have a battery at the third base, but there's definitely risks. And there's a reason why Blink is the standard, and it's not just because Stargate is also common.
Yeah. I'm just wondering for myself, because sometimes if you're uncertain, you do go for the Robo first, and then you still, I mean, you very frequently you're just getting tricked, and it is just a normal Blink. So there is still a decision to be made there, as Firefly actually always walls with the Cybercore as well, so it takes the probe a little bit longer to get around there to the Nexus. Is there a... It's the first time I've seen someone do this. Is this normal?
I think he doesn't want to lose his core from the low ground.
And this is just the furthest away, I guess.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can really imagine. You could also say, why don't you just build the pylon on the inside? Because it still provides a battery location there, but maybe he wants the battery a bit further forward. It's going to lock up his opponent's probe. He also proxied a fake pylon, by the way. Which is
SKillous
nice.
saw where that probe came from, so he's going to check there. He should know by the timing that it has to be either close or it's a fake proxy, right? Because he still would have needed to wait for the Cybercore to finish, and then start Stargate or Robo. So SKillous is trying to look for it at this point.
Yeah, but another thing is that trying to read into probe directions is also a tricky thing, right? Because what if they change the direction? And it's actually on the left side, but the building is a bit closer. So yeah, the probe, I think they met outside of SKillous' natural at 218, which means that basically the probe had 18 seconds to travel towards that location. And it can be 18 seconds in any direction, really.
Yeah. I mean, SKillous just checked very far away for a fake pylon.
Yep.
Now he sees the Nexus, he goes in, sees the sentry. He
Great
knows
scout.
exactly what he's up against. Firefly though going Robo, actually, not going Twilight himself this time.
Yeah. We kind of got to see where his chronos are going to go and what his plans are. He's building double battery. That is actually somewhat surprising to me. Actually, no, that's very surprising to me.
He now also got the full scout, so he saw the Nexus at the natural. He sees the late Twilight that is there, so maybe he can cancel the one in the main base. Because with 4 Stalkers plus a Twilight, I don't think there's gas. For SKillous, you also have a Stargate already on the origin.
Yeah, absolutely no way. This is a good... Oh my god! It's gonna lose another Stalker here, that's for sure. Recall and -2 Stalkers. Battery in the main didn't get cancelled. And we straight up go out with a Prism. We also just don't have a very high work count. I'm not entirely sure what this is. I know that a lot of the Korean server players, which I guess Firefly falls under because he plays probably mainly on the Korean server, they like going for like semi all-in, like 32, 33 worker immortal pushes and then having Blink behind it and then starting to probe up again. This is not common in Europe at all, and it's also not what Firefly is doing now. Firefly is... He's building a Prism, and I guess his plan just kind of... deal some damage with this, I guess? Like get two Adepts in here and then hope that you deal a lot of damage. This seems like a serious investment that wasn't forced, that shouldn't really do that much.
It shouldn't, because it hits right after Blink. Firefly is basically doing what SKillous did last game, going for Robo and then a very late Dark Shrine, which is surprising to me because this is... It's not like SKillous even knew exactly what was going on. As now the War Prism enters SKillous' main base. SKillous completely out of position. And he has Recall still on cooldown, we need to remember. 4 of his Stalkers trying to intercept the War Prism. So these adapts are very annoying for him.
Yeah.
But let's hope that Firefly pays attention to his War Prism, because those Stalkers, I really don't think he's expecting them where they are, to be where they are.
Yeah, and if this Prism goes down, that Dark Shrine also becomes significantly worse. Oh, SKillous barely missing it. That's so unlucky there. For our Liquid Protoss player. Still gonna, clean this up. Does he have a Robo? No, he's gonna straight go into Forge. Has he scouted recently? No, he hasn't. Needs to get a hallucination across the map. I think this game is just gonna end once these... Where's the Prism going? Doesn't want to risk it. It's gonna warp them very far away. That's gonna give SKillous a little more time as the robotics facility starts right now. When is our next hallucination coming? It's coming now.
Okay, the DTs are being warped, and now he probably will send one. Maybe he even just sends both because he's afraid of the Blink Stalkers to catch the War Prisms, and SKillous knows where it is. Okay, no, he is sending one and dropping the other one into the main, which is best case for Firefly because no Stalkers are already in the main base. SKillous will now see the natural. He still doesn't see the Dark Shrine, as now the DTs hit his base right when he's occupied on the other side of the map. As the one DT just runs straight into the natural, the other one gets dropped into the main base. The Robo is not even close to being done yet, and this is going to be so much damage done here by the DTs. He might even try to go for the pylon in the main base, as It's better than shooting stalkers, but there's so much mining time lost and so many probes already going down.
Yeah, not the greatest control here out of Firefly, that's for sure. SKillous is going to end up actually losing these at least one stalker over in the main. 8-9 workers going down. Another worker transfer here does happen. Now Firefly starts fighting the pylon. If he would have done that earlier, that would have been... I think SKillous would have been in serious trouble. Prism still alive. Another DT warp in. Perhaps could have done something there. Firefly tried to kind of play it safe, I guess, in a way. But that DT in the main base really did not achieve as much as it could have. But overall, I think this was enough damage.
This was more than enough damage, I believe. I think he's massively ahead. And I think he agrees because he's just adding extra gateways. He's not adding a forge. I think he just wants to go for a killing blow with the immortals that he has amassed. He has an army of 4 immortals, and then he's just going to go for mass stalkers behind this and try to attack. And immortals, even though they're not that great against very zealot-heavy players, SKillous is just reprobing right now, so he can't even afford extra gateways, and he can't even afford to produce all the zealots. Hence why Firefly is up almost twice the army supply of his opponent at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going Robo Bay as well. Oh no.
Yeah. I understand the Robo Bay because I think the only viable solution for SKillous is to sit on 3 bases, maybe 4 to 6 gateways, batteries, cannons, and all of that good jazz, and then just pumping out disruptors one at a time. Eventually taking a 4th base, but I don't think Firefly is going to give him the time for that.
No, Firefly even still has the DT as a second prong, and SKillous has his entire army at the front, which means the DT will deal a lot of damage, but I don't even think that matters all too much as this 4 Immortus against like 8 Stalkers, and Firefly also has more Stalkers himself, so it's not really a very fair fight. Even with battery overcharge active throughout the entirety of the fight, Firefly just steps forward and kills SKillous, the Team Liquid player, as he takes the series 2-1.
Yeah, that